Hello my friends, today I will tell you how the Jupiter transit will affect each sign of the zodiac. As I mentioned yesterday, Jupiter changed its sign of debilitation and now it is in the sign of Aquarius, and that transit will continue until April 2022. So how it will affect all of the signs of the zodiac? We will start with Aries. Jupiter for Aries will be sitting in the 11th house of the horoscope that represents personal growth, relationships with friends, relationship with elders, as well as additional income. Therefore, for Aries, it will be a relatively good time for personal growth, especially for those who have achieved who have nice achievements at their work, because the 11th house is the one which comes after the achievements after work. Jupiter will be ruling also the 12th house of the horoscope, which represents the financial losses or charity. Therefore, for Aries, it will be very nice to do some charity that will decrease the financial losses. Why? Because when we practice charity, that actually is the remedy for any financial losses that are possible in life. Second thing, Jupiter will be ruling the 9th house of the horoscope, and the 9th house represents luck. And in that case, again, 9th house of the horoscope is a house that supports luck, education, wisdom. So it is a good time for Aries to engage yourself in those areas. For Taurus, Jupiter will be sitting in the 10th house of the horoscope that represents career, a path of life, activity, like activities that relate to the society, social activity. And it is a very good time to shine at work, to show yourself from the better side. Jupiter will also give additional opportunities that may represent some changes, so be ready. If they're coming, they're not bad opportunities, they're good opportunities, because Jupiter transit cannot be a bad transit. So whatever changes you may experience at work, it's for your benefit. For Taurus, Jupiter will be ruling the 8th and the 11th houses of the horoscope. Therefore, 8th house of the horoscope represents yoga, meditation, spiritual practices, some abrupt changes. And the changes that you may again experience in your personal life and at work, this will be the better changes, like for your betterment. If you're feeling that there is stress related to that, just do some yoga, meditation, engage yourself in spiritual practice. Jupiter is a planet of spirituality, and that will help you to manage the change in a better way. Speaking about the 11th house of the horoscope and sitting in the 10th house of the horoscope for Jupiter, right? There will be another opportunity for you to build new relationships or get maybe new friendships. Which is also a good change for Taurus. For Gemini, Jupiter will be sitting in the 9th house of the horoscope, and 9th house is a natural house for Jupiter. Therefore, for Geminis, it's a great opportunity to get the blessings of Jupiter, especially through the spiritual practices, through long distance traveling, especially to the holy places, so the places where you can increase your spirituality. It is a very good time to choose your spiritual path or to start doing some practice if you haven't. And it is a very good time for Gemini to start new education. So that will be a great opportunity. Jupiter sitting in the 9th house will be ruling 7th and 10th houses of the horoscope, which means that the luck will be like in these areas, in the area of a spouse, so the relationships with the spouse may become better, and there could be new better opportunities at work. For Cancer, Jupiter will be sitting in the 8th house of the horoscope, and Jupiter being the planet that blesses, right? Sitting in the 8th house of the horoscope may show, and the 8th house of the horoscope is the house of abrupt changes, of the stress, of different situations that can be like considered as very stressful. But when Jupiter comes there, it will mean that whatever stresses you may see is for your own benefit. This is the area where you need to transform yourself so that the further path of your life becomes easier and better. Now for Cancer, Jupiter will be ruling the 9th house of the horoscope and the 6th house of the horoscope. Therefore, just ensure that your father, because 9th house of the horoscope represents father and the 6th house of the horoscope represents sicknesses. So just ensure that your father is in a good condition. Maybe there's an opportunity to help your father in any way you can. It also may represent that there is some changes that may happen either in education or in your work place. So just be ready for that, because again, Jupiter is a blesser. It's a blessing planet, and any change that you may experience will just require from you to manage it in a spiritual way, maybe from the psychological perspective. If you're feeling that you need to work on certain areas in order to accept the change, or maybe to understand something like through the wisdom, right, in order to move on with that change. For Leo, Jupiter will be sitting in the 7th house of the horoscope, which actually good for the relationships. And because Jupiter expands the area, whatever it is sitting, it just expands that area. So meaning that the relationships may become more joyful, or there can be more opportunities to express yourself or to build something that you've been missing maybe for a long time. Also, Jupiter may show some areas of development, because Jupiter is a planet of wisdom. Therefore, just consider those opportunities, take them into consideration, and work on your relationships. Since 7th house of the horoscope also represents travelings, then for Leos, it could be a good time for travelings. Jupiter will be ruling 8th and 5th houses of the horoscope for Leo, which means that there could be an opportunity maybe to have another child, or to experience again some interesting changes in your life through the childhood, or if you are a manager at work, so you may see some changes there as well. So just be ready for them and work on the areas if you're feeling that some areas need some improvement. So it will be a nice period of transformation for you, for your relationships, and if you're a manager, again, for your subordinates or for your kids. For Virgo, Jupiter will be sitting in the 6th house of the horoscope, which represents enemies. It also represents sicknesses, debts, like financial debts, right? So just make sure that you are not engage yourself in any unnecessary conflicts. Jupiter may show you some of the areas, even if you're not interested in taking loans in the bank, or you're not a conflict person. And once Jupiter is getting into that house, it may open up some internal problems, some internal enemies, maybe in the form of a greed, maybe in the form of an anger, maybe something else, right? So it is a good time to look at it in a safe way, from a positive perspective. Why? Because Jupiter is showing it to you so that you can resolve and make your life easier. Take it into consideration, work on those areas, don't let them go, because transits will be changing, and the same situation may come back to you in the form of a Saturn in a retrograde motion, which is not a pleasurable transit. Therefore, it's better to resolve your issues when you're dealing with such a great planet as Jupiter. So take that into consideration. Also, 6th house of the horoscope, it's a house of intestines and digestion. Do your best not to overeat, and avoid overloading your digestive system. Jupiter, again, is a planet of making things big, right? And you may feel that you want something more, you need something more. Just set healthy limits for yourself, and do not overload your digestive system. 6th house of the horoscope also represents health and the body, right? Look after your health. So Jupiter will be supporting you in that case. So look after your health. For Virgos, Jupiter will be ruling the 7th and the 4th houses of the horoscope. Sitting in the 6th house, it's not the best position. Why? Because if the ruler of the 7th or the 4th house of the horoscope goes into the house of sicknesses, it may mean that those areas, like the area of the 7th house, which is marriage, or the area of the 4th house, which is relationships with your mother, your emotional condition, or your mother's health, can be not in the best condition. Therefore, if it comes to your emotions, don't neglect your emotions. Don't just think, okay, let things go. I'm going to wait, procrastinate, do nothing about it. No, just better act about it and better the situation. Make it better for yourself. When it comes to the relationships, instead of becoming an enemy with your partner, instead of quarreling with your partner, it is better to serve your partner. How? Sixth house of the horoscope also represents service. When we get into the situation where we want to conflict, what is the way out if we don't want to conflict? What is the way out if we want to save the relationships? It is through the service, right? And service doesn't mean I am in a let down position where my partner is looking from above down on me and I am letting myself down. I am, neglecting my emotions. No, it's not about it. It's acting with dignity. It's understanding my goal, right? It's serving your goal. It's serving the higher goal of life, meaning that I value the relationships and I will be looking at the relationship from like a systemic, from the point of view of a system. Like imagine that you are the family and you're representative of the family and you are the system. So you're looking at your partner from the point of view of a system, and system doesn't want this marriage got broken, right? So you're serving the system, and that system also includes your kids and includes maybe your other relatives. So if you do it in that way, it means in the mode of service. You're not just doing it for your own self, you're also doing it for the whole system, for your, I'm a family constellation therapist, so we consider the whole family as a big system, and that system has life and that system has destiny. And when we do something for our relatives, we're not just doing it for them or for us, we're doing it for the entire system, because the entire system is interested in that relationship, in the marriage, in good results, in prosperity of kids, husband, and etc. Therefore, serving means I am serving that system. I am serving the higher goal. And here you can also support yourself through the psychology, because it's a fourth house of the horoscope, or through a spiritual practice, which is also fourth house of the horoscope, because God lives in our heart. And that's why when we speak about spirituality and psychology, that involves our heart and our psychology, because psychology suffers when spirituality suffers, so spirituality suffers when psychology suffers. So they're very much connected. So that's the broadcast for Virgo. For Libra, Jupiter will be sitting in the fifth house of the horoscope, which is an amazing house for Jupiter, because fifth house of the horoscope represents goodness that we bring from our past life. And this goodness is revealed through good kids. And the fifth house of the horoscope is kids. Therefore, Jupiter will be blessing you for having good kids, for revealing your talents, because fifth house of the horoscope, it's also talents, and just enjoying, because fifth house of the horoscope, it's about romance, it's about enjoyment, it's about pleasures, games, investments, all of that. But speaking about investments, be careful, because if you don't have wisdom, Jupiter represents wisdom, and investments will be supported only if you make wise decisions. Okay, when speaking about the investments, we don't just take into consideration Jupiter transit. We have to look at the whole picture and make a conscious decision. So Jupiter will be ruling 6th and the 3rd houses of the horoscope, which also represents ambitious work. Also for Libra, it's not a good time to take any loans, because 6th house of the horoscope, especially if you're trying to invest, right? 6th house of the horoscope represent loans. Just try not to take any loans. And speaking about kids, don't quarrel with them too much. Again, be like a good example like this. So again, if we're speaking about the service towards your kids, be a good example instead of criticizing them, instead of telling them you're wrong, this is not good, and blah blah blah, right? Show the best way. Maybe do it together with your kids, and then you will see better results. Speaking about the third house of the horoscope, it will be a good time to show your talents maybe through your hands or through your speech, or take short travels. Maybe you've been looking forward to having those travels, so it will be a good time for you too. For Scorpio, Jupiter will be sitting in the fourth house of the horoscope, and fourth house represents mother, heart, emotions. So when Jupiter goes there, it makes that area big and joyful and prosperous. So emotionally, if you are that kind of Scorpio that work on your own emotions, that got rid of blockages, and you're attentive to your feelings, right? Then in that case, you will get access to the resources of joy and happiness. If you are that kind of Scorpio that were kind of neglecting your emotions, not paying attention to them, then in that case, Jupiter may show some areas of development in that area. So do not neglect, just work on on those areas. Now, Jupiter may give you good changes in terms of changing the changing the living place, because fourth house of the horoscope represents house and real estate. So there could be change of the living place. Look after your relationships with your mom. That will be a good opportunity for you. Jupiter sitting in the fourth house of the horoscope will be ruling fifth and second houses of the horoscope, which are good for money, talents. So it might be a good time for you to get some maybe additional income or additional opportunities to show your talents. It's also a good time to spend more time with your kids if you didn't have the chance yet. For Sagittarius, Jupiter will be sitting in the third house of the horoscope that represents speech, travelings, relationships with younger sisters, ambitious goals in life. And Jupiter, like third house of the horoscope in general, is not the best place for Jupiter, but again, Jupiter is a planet that blesses, right? And in this case, Jupiter will give a good chance for Sagittarius to achieve, to get the results that were maybe wanted for a long time. But at the same time, be careful while making your decisions, right? Make sure that the ideas that you are following are the right ideas, because once Jupiter gets into the third house of the horoscope, the perception of the idea might not be that beneficial, right? Because basically it's not as clear as it would be, for example, if Jupiter is sitting in the first or ninth or fifth house of the horoscope, because first house of the horoscope is not the best place for Jupiter. So just reconsider your ideas, maybe clarify them with knowledgeable people, and that will be helpful for you. Jupiter will be ruling the first house of the horoscope and the fourth, so it's a good time to build up your positive reputation, show yourself, show your achievements, become more confident, emotionally take care of your mom, develop relationships with your mom, right? Take care of your emotions and look after your real estate. So that will be good for Sagittarius. For Capricorn, Jupiter will be sitting in the second house of the horoscope, and one of the best positions for the financial situation, because Jupiter also represents finance. And when it comes to the second house of the horoscope, there could be more income, more opportunities for income. So it's very good financially. Second house of the horoscope also represents food that we eat. Therefore, when we speak about eating habits, be careful, because Jupiter is a planet that likes to expand, and which means that your appetite may become really big. Just, again, set the healthy limits and take care of your health. Speaking about the speech, because second house of the horoscope also represents speech, deliver the wisdom. Don't speak just about nothing or anything, right? Deliver the wisdom and you will get blessings from Jupiter, but be careful with being proud. Don't become proud, okay? Now, Jupiter will be ruling the 12th house of the horoscope, which represents losses. Therefore, the money that you are getting, just make sure that you are not just wasting those money, right? Set up again the goals for the money that is coming, and in order not to waste, since 12th house of the horoscope represent not only losses but also charity. You can control the losses by becoming charitable. From the universal perspective, the more we give for charity, for the spiritual purposes especially, the more we get the blessing or the energy of of the wealth from the universe back. So it's a good way to get rid of greed, and especially when we get the money that or a lot of money, I would say. So it is a very good way to get rid of greed. For Aquarius, Jupiter will be sitting in the first house of the horoscope. That may give you huge opportunities again to show yourself, to realize your talents, to influence your spousal relationships in a good way. What's important here is also not to be proud. Be just humble when you see that you got that energy, and share it in a positive way, basically by maybe inspiring your partner, or by discussing different opportunities in a friendly way. Jupiter will be ruling 11th and second house of the horoscope for Aquarius. Therefore, there will be nice opportunities again for income, for developing new connections, and for friendships. For Pisces, Jupiter will be sitting in 12th house of the horoscope. No, will be ruling the 12th house of, for Pisces, right? Okay, let me see, just give me a minute, because I have prepared everything. Okay, let me see. Now, for Pisces, Jupiter will be sitting in the 11th house of the horoscope, which is a house of charity. But it also may increase your intuition. So basically, for Pisces, it is a very good time for spiritual practices, for taking long distance trips, to go to the spiritual places, to engage yourself into yoga and meditation. If you've been waiting for this time, so now it is a very good time. Be careful with your financial situation. Look after your health, because when the ruler of your first house of the horoscope goes into the 12th house of the horoscope, the house of losses, it may indicate that the health condition might not be that good, or the finance may be pretty tight. And again, here, if you compensate that position by charity towards the spiritual organization, that will give you more energy. It will allow you to feel much better in terms of health, and it will save, although it may sound strange, right? We're speaking about charity, but it will save your wealth. Because this is the best way to engage your money and the wealth, so that it can be preserved, actually. So charity is the way. Now, Jupiter will also be ruling the 10th house of the horoscope for Pisces. Therefore, there could be some changes at work, and just be be in the mode of acceptance, for those changes, because those changes will get you to the higher level if you take advantage of them properly. So that is it for all of the signs of the horoscope. If you have any particular questions about your personal situation, please get in touch with me, book a session with me, and I will be happy to assist you with your personal analysis of your personal chart. That's all. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in my future videos.